Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
You need to record?
Yeah, I thought I had started the recording. I'm sorry.
It said stopped, so I think he needs to do the recording.
Yeah, okay. Panchatattva Prabhu, sorry to interrupt my own kirtan here.
It's all right. What do I do?
I'm asking for permission to record.
Okay.
And if you can just allow me to record or make me the co-host.
Or he can record.
Yeah, or you can record.
And from where do I do that?
Okay, so in the bottom control panel, there's the
Yes.
microphone, and all across there should be a more button or a
Got
record.
it. It just says, oh yeah, I see it. Okay, got it. All set. Record to the cloud or on this computer?
What do you think is better, Tulsi Priya?
I think you should just record it, and that way we have it, and
All right.
then you can sign out later. So you make yourself a co-host, or he makes you a host.
Oh. So I can't who should record it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what you do then is go up to Madan Gopal Das in the participants window,
Got it.
and then click on
Click on the dots.
the camera icon, and there should
Got
be a make co-host option.
Got it. It's done.
Great, thank you. So I'm just going to record now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Shri Srimad AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada ki jai, Anand Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakti ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Dev Sham Radha Puniti Guru ki jai, Vrindavan Bhavan ki jai, Randeep Bhavan ki jai, Jagannath Puri ki jai, Ramanabai ki jai, Jamanabai ki jai, Visudevi ki jai, Visudevi ki jai, Samarita Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the Assembly of Devotees. All glories to the Assembly of Devotees. All glories to the Assembly of Devotees. Both Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you everyone for being here for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. We are reading in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th chapter. It looks like from my notes we're starting tonight with text number 28. Or perhaps, yes, so 3-7-28. I'll be posting links that you can share these classes with your friends, and hopefully you'll do so, and hopefully we'll get to hear from you tonight with your comments and questions as usual. And thank you so much, Maharaj, for being with us from Sri Vrindavan Dham.
Thank you so much, Kendra Prabhu. Kirtani Sada Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Avatar Vishwasya Sarvastivya Ashrayam Srijata Srinivasasya Yachata Yachakshvodara Yachakshvodara Vikramam. These also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. And these describe the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His magnanimous activities. Purport. Although Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature, are the principal deities for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the cosmic manifestation, they are not the final authority. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the ultimate goal, cause of all causes. He is the ashraya for the final rest of everything. Om Vajjanatamiram Pasya Jananjana Shavakaya Jakshanandikam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Smapikam Jena Putale, Swami Rupakada Maikam, Bhati Savavam Kam, from the Sri Vigo, Sri Tatapagamanam, Sri Guru Aishnavansta, Sri Bhutam Sadhusakam, Sahavama Yadaratam Vikram Stam Savitam, Sadhvaitam Savatitam, Vijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Sri Radha Krishna Padam, Sahavama Yadita, Sri Vishakam Dhamsta, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho, Hey Nagambo Tikake, Gopesha Gopika Tantra, Radha Tantra, Namaste, Dr. Krishna Golambi, Radhe Vritavaneshwari, Krishna Namaste Devi, Namaste, Holy Priya, one shall go to the Dasha, Upasandro Vedita, Viparamana Bhavadejo, Yakshadejo, Yogivaha, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Rasani Gauri, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Again, welcome to all. Welcome to our small live audience in 4:30 in Srimad. Punavatarar Vishwasya Sarvastitya Jayashriyam Sridhati Srinivasasya Yachakshrovara Vikram Yachakshrovara. So we're going, these are all questions by Vidura, setting the stage for future answers. We'll hear a lot about Brahma Vishnu, where Shiva in the process of creation, maintenance, and destruction. And the Sarvastitya Adhyaya Ashray, the ultimate shelter of all of these tattvas, the ultimate shelter of all these manifestations is Srinivas, the Supreme Personality of God. So we specifically want to hear about his appearances. Any questions or comments? Ashrama Vibhaganscha Yupa Shiva Svapavataha Rishinam Janma Karmani Vedasya Cha Viparshanam. By the way, if there's any improvement needed on this connection, if things drop, if the microphone is not loud enough, send me a send up a flare. And we're trying to improve things. O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristics of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of the great sages and the categorical revisions of the Vedas. The four statuses and orders of human society: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, as well as brahmacharis, grahasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, are all divisions of quality, education, culture, and spiritual advancement attained by practicing control of the mind and senses. All these divisions are based on the particular nature of each individual person, not on the principle of birth. Birth is not mentioned in this verse because birth is immaterial. Vidura is famous in history as born of a Shudrani mother, yet he's more than a Brahmin by qualification, because he's seen here to be the disciple of a great sage, Maitreya Muni. Unless one achieves at least the Brahminical qualifications, one cannot understand the Vedic hymns. Mahabharata is also a division of the Vedas, but it is meant for women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus, the worthless children of the higher section. The less intelligent section of society can avail themselves of the Vedic instructions simply by studying the Mahabharata. So here again, it's not birth, but it's qualification that establishes the divisions of human society. Guna karma vipagasham. All right, any questions or comments here? Yes.
My question is about how women and Shudras and Dvijabandhus should read and study Mahabharata, and that's where they'll get Vedic instructions. So how do we understand that in the context where that Prabhupada's given us Srimad Bhagavatam? Where does Mahabharata take how many people?
In the purport, we read that women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus are meant for hearing Mahabharata. So, how does that fit together? What are we supposed to be doing? And what about Srimad Bhagavatam? Sri Sudra Dvijabandhu na Trayina Shruti Gochara. Srila Prabhupada appears to be glossing that point. That Shruti Gochara, the Shrutis means the Vedic hymns. They're not meant for women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus. So then, what is there? The Puranas and the Mahabharata. So in Mahabharata, it's not that we have to study the whole Mahabharata and Naladamayanti and all of those things, but Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Mahabharata. And among the Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is all Smriti literature. Shruti Gotra, Trayina Shruti Gotra. The women, Shudras, and Dvijabandhus have no entrance into the Shrutis. From that point of view, most of the members of our movement are excluded from Vedic study. Therefore, we're giving more emphasis to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the Smriti literature, which is meant for us in this direction. Is that okay? Anything else? Hare Krishna Maharaj says, is the mode of goodness in its pure form spiritual, or is spiritual something higher? The Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Sattvam. The mode of goodness is material, but pure goodness is only found on the spiritual path. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find that the three modes are always competing for supremacy. Brothers Tamas Jabi Guru Satam Bhagavad Brothers Satam Tamas Jaiva Tamas Satam. They're always mixing up. Sometimes goodness is up, sometimes passion is up, sometimes ignorance is up, and then the other two are down. But we don't find goodness in its pure form. So goodness in its pure form is spiritual. Therefore, it's said sometimes that the personality of Godhead is the form of pure goodness. It doesn't mean distilled material mode of nature. It means the original transcendental goodness. Okay, we had Touch again.
Guru Maharaj obeisances. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, birth is not mentioned in this verse because birth is immaterial. But in the verse we see Rishinam Janma Karmani. I know I'm nitpicking because indeed Srila Prabhupada's referring to how Varnashram is being described there, Rupa Shila Shobhavata. But it's interesting that Vidura is asking specifically about the births of the sages. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, the birth means how did they get here? We're going to hear about how everything got started. Tell us about the births of the great sages. It doesn't seem to be asking about those, first of all. Yeah, Janma Karmani. Rishinan, tell about their birth, tell about their activities. Tell us all about the sages, basically. It doesn't appear to be aimed at understanding what birth one needs to have to be a sage. But we're interested in these sages. So tell us about their birth, tell us about their activities, tell us about their teachings, tell us about the sages. Alternatively, if you put it together with Vedasya Cha Vikarshan, the divisions of the Vedas, well, then you have to be a Brahmin to study the Vedas. So then birth becomes relevant. Any other thoughts about this? Okay. Saraswati says, women are classified as less intelligent, and though we are not the body, still we are governed by the rules dividing society. This has left a bad taste to many so-called women. So how to explain this to potential women devotees? Also, we see many women more intelligent than some men, including in spiritual matters too. Of course, everybody's governed by the rules dividing society, men, women, everybody. It's not that women are governed and men aren't governed. There are rules for women, and men have no rules that they're obliged to follow. Everyone is governed by the rules, social rules, given by the personality of Godhead. One might explain that women are getting a raw deal in the materialistic setup. It's supposed to be, now women are free, they have all, equal rights for everything, and no, all that's left is to sort of shatter the glass ceiling, but we are making progress, and women more and more have freedom, but doesn't mean that women are more happy. Doesn't mean that women are actually experiencing a life of greater fulfillment and fitness. The arguably not so. The freedom, it's really a man's game. There was an award, B'nai B'rith, the Jewish philanthropic organization. I don't know what got into their heads, but at some point they gave an award to Hugh Hefner, the publisher of Playboy magazine, for all that he'd done to promote equality for women. Go figure. But really, this is the section that benefits. When women have no rules governing their life, then they're free game. Men can just pick them off and taste and enjoy with no responsibility. The Vedic rules are, yes, you can enjoy the company of a nice young girl, but you have to marry her. You have to take responsibility for her. You have to protect her. You have to maintain her. You have to provide for her. And then you can enjoy her company. That's kind of a reasonable deal for them. That's a reasonable deal. The emancipated woman, the deal is that the men have a right to enjoy, but they have no obligation to protect, maintain, provide, except perhaps in some temporary context. If you want us to stay together, you have to give me to this, or you have to give me to that. But then I'm free to go, you're free to go. So there's no commitment. There's no commitment. You can say, well, there's no commitment for either side, so both sides are free. But who loses in that arrangement? It's the women who lose. One reason is because as men age, their market value increases. A man, as he becomes older, a man who's like, say, 20, 22, he's still a kid. He doesn't have much money in his pocket, doesn't have much of a career, doesn't have assets. He's young and good looking and smart, maybe, but that's kind of all he has going for him. It's all potential. When he's 40, he's got a post, he's got a fat salary, he's got a network and a solid career, he's got credit, he's distinguished, as he ages. Even the gray hair makes him a little more serious looking. So a politician with a little bit of gray hair is got something extra going for him. But as a woman ages, her market value goes down. It perhaps reaches its peak when she's 15, 16, 17, young and beautiful and effervescent. When she's 30, when she's 40, then everything's sagging, creasing, deteriorating. She's health is not that great anymore. So many things are like going down. So why, given the choice, do I want a 40-year-old woman over a 20-year-old? And so the man thinks, it's been fun, but it's time to move on. So he moves on to the nice young new model and dumps the old one. And now she can go and find someone new, but she's 30, she's 40, she might have a kid or two that comes along, which isn't really an asset when you're shopping for a man. You got somebody else. Yes, you get me, and you get someone else's kid in the bargain. So women are the losers. in the situation of the emancipated modern woman. In addition to which, Prabhupada says that we get to have sex, and then the woman is pregnant and she's given a choice. You can abort the child, or you can go back from the government. And as Rabbi Shuk puts it, and the guy just goes on to watch the football game. You know? So the women get the raw deal. There's a blog that Dasi pointed me to some years ago about a young emancipated Israeli woman who was living the full feminist life of freedom, and then just got it. She realized that she was being cheated, that she was being exploited, that what she really wanted was a home and kids and a husband. And she just flipped around 180 degrees and became a serious conservative Jew. And her sisters, her spiritual sisters, accused her of having sold out and caved in and all of that. And she was a sassy lady. She had a sassy side to it. And she and smart, smart Israeli woman. And she said, just do the math. You're working, you've got freedom, you can get a great job. But this much goes to your transportation, this much goes to taxes, this much goes to your work clothes, this much goes to eating out. Now you have to always eat outside, spend more money. This much goes for your continuing education. Then when you've added everything else up, when you've added it all up, you have enough money left over to pay for childcare. Pay someone else to take care of your kid who you don't see because you're busy working all day. So if that's your choice, more power to you. But that's not what I want for my life. So these are some points, even from a materialistic point of view, for the women who have a bad taste in their mouths. From how did they get the bad taste from? Our highly defined society might put some women off, but if they have a bad taste in their mouth, it's from what they're already living, which is not what we created. Let me just see if there's something else. Also, we see that many women are more intelligent than some men, including in spiritual matters also. Prabhupada said, yes, women have half the brain, and when they become Krishna conscious, they get the other half. Yes, we have a question here.
I was just going to ask if you could share some thoughts on what
We love, fan is love.
I was just going to ask if you could share some thoughts on what Prabhupada means by the word intelligent. When
What does Prabhupada mean by more intelligent, less intelligent? It's really an interesting question, which I don't exactly know the answer. It clearly doesn't mean, well, what is clear about it? He doesn't seem to mean, let me think about it. I don't think he's using it just in terms of mere analytical intelligence. When I was in school, I was really frustrated because sitting next to me in my Latin class, in which I had a real hard time following, was this absolutely brilliant girl who understood everything, absolutely everything, from declensions to congregations to you name it, she understood it thoroughly. And I thought myself pretty smart. And here's this girl who was wiping up the floor. The only consolation was that I later found out that she became the president of the American Philological Association. So she's brilliant woman. So clearly, women can be intelligent in that sense, but they can be taken advantage of. There's a popular book out called Emotional Intelligence. And what I gather from Prabhupada's instructions is that at the end of the day, women are women. And they're different. And they don't work the same way. And particularly, yeah, they're wired differently. And emotional attachments and emotional forces work differently with women. That seems, and sometimes, yeah, work different. That's what I can gather from it. Yeah.
Sometimes even with sort of Krishna consciousness,
You have to be very loud because the fan is very loud.
sometimes it can seem like women are expected to fit into this box.
Sometimes it seems that women are
Expected to fit into a box.
respected for.
It seems like women are expected to fit into a box of like, you have to be a wife, you have to be a mother. Otherwise, it's almost like you're incomplete if you're not.
Otherwise, it's almost like being
You're incomplete. There's something lacking.
incomplete.
Yeah.
Generally, women will feel that way. There was an article written about the sort of pioneering feminists, the people who founded Ms. Magazine and really got the whole thing going in America. And they were like great activists and pioneers and really fighting for the liberation of these millions of oppressed women. But when they hit their 40s, quite a number of them felt that, I have no husband, I have no children. They felt a kind of emptiness, according to their own testimony. Generally, and that was the experience of this Israeli woman, that great, I have freedom, I can do whatever I want, but what do I want? I want a husband, I want children, and so on. So that's a natural desire for women to have children, to have a husband, to have a home, and so on. That's not to say, and Prabhupada said it in this purport, everything's individual. So it's not to say that there can't be exceptions. We hear about, Guru was talking about some extraordinary women who they were like princesses, and their fathers wanted to marry them off. They said, "No, I'm marrying the deity. I don't want one of these husbands. I want Krishna." So, and they're being offered a prince and so on. So there can be exceptions. There can be women who just don't want the children, don't want the husband, don't want it. They want something spiritual, or they want something material. They're absolutely determined to fly over the Atlantic or whatever. That's what matters most in their life. It can be that way. But as a general principle, you find what do women want? They want homes, they want husbands, they want children.
I think so. 2 points. So number one, in my own experience and my experience with other women as well, I think I agree. Majority of them do want a husband. They do want to settle down, and majority of women do want a family life. I agree with that. And I think for a lot of women, it comes even before the 40s or 30s, for example. So it's not that they're resisting the idea, but a lot of the time it just doesn't work out. But I think one of the biggest, unfortunately, problems that this stems from is because the men are not trained well.
Yeah, absolutely. In the the question was, or the point was that we agree that women generally do want homes and families and husbands, but lots of times it doesn't work out because the men are lousy. Basically, they're not trained properly, and so they don't take responsibility and care for their wives nicely. That point is made by the bull, I believe, the cowardly bull in the discussion in the first canto, where Kali's been, where the cow is crying and the bull is standing on one leg. And are you lamenting for the women who are exploited by unscrupulous men? That's a part of the future of Hollywood. You'll have nice women, and the husband or the men are rogues, or just what's the word? Slighty sort of shadows of men who don't have integrity, who don't take responsibility, who don't know what to do with women except just to enjoy them. They don't know how to care for women and take responsibility for them. So that is indeed the problem that women face in Hollywood. Therefore, it's always troublesome to be stuck in a woman's body, because you're relative. You know, men can do it as they like, but women really are dependent by nature. As vines are dependent, you know, they want a trellis, they want something to hang on to. That's the nature of the vine. So women naturally want to have a man to hang on to, and then they're happy. Everything else can fit in place. But then when the man himself is you know, you hang on to him, and he's just going to cut you off at some point when his sense gratification is impaired, or he's just not going to take responsibility, or he's going to still want to play the field even though he's got a faithful life. Then it makes life difficult for women. So women respond, they say, okay, deal me out. You know, I don't want to have a marriage. Maybe I'll have a partnership. And so that's this kind of the new standard. That we don't get married, we live as partners. Partnerships are very reliable. But again, the partnership favors the man. So yes, so part of it is the men should be trained as brahmacharis. In the modern Vaishnava society, you don't want the boys to become brahmacharis because everyone's going to get married anyway. So why should they become brahmacharis? But when they're not trained as brahmacharis, they're making lousy husbands. You know, they have no proper training and control of the mind, control of the senses. So they're supposed to be spiritual masters of the life, but they're not qualified. So the brahmachari training should be there, even if we think that our sons are going to get married. Saraswati, yeah, and Panchatattva makes the point the children use, and you see that the husband and wife or the partners, you know, they have a sort of provisional commitment, because at least there's a 50% chance that we're not going to like this or anything, and we're all going to want to back out. We're both going to want to back out, or one of us, you know. So better to leave things open and include the back out clause and the theoretical contract. So that's a nice arrangement for us. We can, if it doesn't work out, we can split up and get on with our life. But meanwhile, the children are there, and it's wrenching for them. it's traumatic. We could argue that it's not, but it is. I saw some articles somewhere about some women that high class American colleges, and the discussion between them, like 30 years ago, was something like, Barbara, Jack, and I have, we're separated. I've decided to divorce Jack. And Sally says, "Good going. I was wondering how long you were going to drag that guy around. Good for you." That was like, more power to you. Then fast forward 30 years at the same school, and Barbara decided to divorce Jack. Have you thought about this? Have you really thought this through? Are you sure you want to do this? Why? Because those girls are the daughters of those girls. They've been through it. It's not fun. Saraswati says, "My father would say that parents are gardeners, nurturing daughters, and they are also the fencing around the garden daughters with big signs saying, 'Do not trespass.'" Yeah. I remember one of my cousins. When she was a teenager, she was going out with young boys, and the father was a little watchful. What is the quality of the boy? And the daughter was college age, and she, "Daddy, don't be so old-fashioned." And she's thinking, "Hey, it's my life." But the father is thinking he has some responsibility here. And that sense of responsibility is sort of being, in the modern society, saying, "No, it's not really. Don't be intrusive." All right, punch and touch.
Yes. My wife had this experience repeatedly when she was teaching, that children whose parents divorced or separated were traumatized quite completely, to the point where they would become withdrawn, as if overnight they didn't want to interact with other children. They would sit alone. They had lost interest in learning. There was a whole cascade of different negative impacts just from seeing their parents go apart.
Yes, I've also seen that. I've also seen that. And that becomes like 50% of your population, roughly speaking. If the statistics are that 50% of marriages end in divorce, and let's just say that all of them, that there's a child involved, that statistically may not be valid, but even if we say half of them, then you still have 25% of children being traumatized by this breakup in their family life. And there are statistics, about crimes and the background of those who perpetrate them and so on. I don't save them or memorize them, but I think we're all familiar with cases like those you mentioned, where poor kids are just like have to deal with this traumatic experience of watching their parents usually bitterly fight and then finally separate, and then they have like one parent or a shared, or they've got four parents and everything's a mess, and they get, according to the court order, And periodically they fly from here to there to be with the other parent. And it's just not fun. And as I said, these are just learning. I know of one child who became practically nearly catatonic. So many problems, severely traumatic. And parents, well, they take this into account, but finally our own lives come first.
Yeah, another aspect of it is that the children oftentimes think to themselves, what did I do? What did I do to cause this? And sometimes they're put in an awful psychological position of trying to negotiate between the parents to keep them together. So they carry a psychological burden that's just so inappropriate for a child.
Or they're made into proxies for one parent or the other, with each parent trying to get the kid on their side. And it's the whole thing is just. But this is Kali Yuga. When I was growing up, in my extended family, I knew exactly one person, one man who'd been divorced. And that was looked upon with some this country. Now it's, 1 out of 2. It's just, you don't ask people how's your husband, how's your wife. Chances are that it's changed since you met last. This is Kali. Such an unfortunate image. London Bhagavatam. And the misfortune begins in childhood. And then these men are going to be husbands, these women are going to be wives, but they've been traumatized since childhood. Jayādvaita, yes.
All right, what can we do? So we spoke about men being better trained to be better husbands, but is there anything else that we should be doing to become better grahastas? Is there anything else that we should be doing to become better grahastas?
We talk about men being better trained. Is there anything else we should do to become better grahastas? Well, Krishna consciousness, really. The more there's Krishna consciousness, the less that material considerations become the standard by which we judge the success of our marriage, the success of our life. If it's the more that there's sense gratification in the center, the more these calculations of I like it, I don't like it, I like him, I don't like him, I like her, I don't like her, whatever it is, the more those become prominent. The more one becomes Krishna conscious, the more it's like, well, anyway. You take what you get and you make the most of it and you serve Krishna. That's part of it. Marriage is oversold. Or no, not marriage. Sex is oversold. People are thinking that they're going to get, gardens of delight and endless enjoyment and so on. And what they get is a lot less. Or much the opposite. And so then they're, shopping around, hunting around, trying to find what they were promised, which doesn't exist. So if people are properly trained and brought up in Krishna consciousness, they know. All right, there's a certain amount of happiness, there's a certain amount of unhappiness. You take what you get, If today's lunch wasn't exactly what I expected, if it wasn't, 4-star restaurant standard. Anyway, it was lunch. And there'll be more lunch. It's Hare Krishna. When is that? austerity. Austerity of the mind, manaprasadis, and austerity of the mind includes just being satisfied. And that's part of brahmacharya training. And that's part of the training that young girls receive also, to be Krishna conscious. And if we're Krishna conscious, then so many things we can brush off or ride our way through. And if we're not Krishna conscious, then we're always going to try to adjust. We're always going to try to gain the system and get more. And it's not. All right. We're just about okay. Murari says, working with abused women in the Mayapur area. Murari is in Mayapur. It was clear that the solution wasn't empowering women, but rectifying the husbands. Not empowering women, but rectifying the husbands. That it's not that the women need to have, full scope of freedom, independence, power, but the husbands need to be good. That will make women don't become happy by being like children. It's not, what do children want? They want to be able to do whatever they want. I want to go out and play. I want to watch television till midnight. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's what children want. They want whatever they want. So maybe we could empower children. Yes, give them what they want. But what will it result in? They'll be run over by cars. They'll be, who knows? So many things can happen. But how do children become happy? They become happy by being protected by their parents. They become happy by being, and the parents have to be good parents. The parents have to be protective. The parents have to be caring, and so on. Parents have to be steady, responsible. So good, responsible husbands, and therefore proper training, especially for for both sides. The women should be properly trained, and because men don't really want, that's the other thing, men don't really want emancipated women. There was a debate at one of the Ivy League schools, and it was between a very smart feminist woman and a very smart conservative. And the feminist woman was brilliant, and she was sassy, and she was sarcastic, and she was powerful, and she was, all of everything, and making the case for full, and great at grinding down these, men who thought that they were better, and all of that. And the conservative woman was more conservative. So, and the consensus among the men, the reporter said, was, or he quoted one of the men, I agree with that one, feminists. I agree with that one, but I'd marry this one. I agree with that one, but I'd marry this one. Last comment, and then
I was just going to say, in modern society, because of the way it is, where women are now outside working, and the fact that they're not getting that protection. I think we've been brought up in a culture where we have to look after ourselves.
Excuse me. Yeah, now the culture, this gets to be a whole seminar that women, because the men are bad, so the women have to have a career so that basically when their husbands divorce them, they can still carry on. I've heard this from Indian parents lately. Why this mania in India that the girl's got to have at least an MA and probably a PhD, and get married in her 30s, because who knows what will happen to her. She can't take care of herself. So that logic is there, but in the meantime, you're losing so much. So again, we're not going to do the how to solve the problems of men and women. And then even solve them here this morning or this evening. So we'll stop here. Just observing that Krishna consciousness and the culture that go with it are so much needed in today's mess of the world, where people are falsely thinking that they'll be happy by their own invented and very life. All right, we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. And who's doing kirtan?
Apurva Prabhu, would you like to lead the kirtan?
The mic, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Cartels. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Srimad Bhagavatam Acharya Ashto Shri Srimad AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srimad Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavi Jai Nam Acharya Sri Haridas Thakur Jai James Bahosh Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Jayādvaita Jayādvaita Shiva Shari Gauru Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopalina, Shama Radha Kundigiri Gopikan Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mudit Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Brahmani Ki Jai, Brahmani Ki Jai, Lucy Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Bindu Ki Jai. All glories to you, Son of the Lord. All glories to you, Son of the Lord. All glories to you, Son of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm good. There. Haribol from Alachua. It's Doug Prabhu's birthday. Haribol.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Mara.
It was a great class for this birthday. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Hare Krishna Kunteya.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. We will reconvene tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, for Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Be there, don't miss out. And tell your friends and family. Share the news. We have a really nice thing going on. Also, if you didn't get the link earlier that Akendra Prabhu required, supplied, all you have to do is go on to your YouTube website and do a search on Jayādvaita Swami Official, and you'll find the YouTube channel for all of these classes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for all you've done. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai.
jai. More Premanande.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.